I'm gonna completely humiliate myself now and show my absurdly horrible chicken scratch storyboards. These are the original storyboards that I scrawled for the entire film before we shot the movie. And one of the reasons I'm doing this act of public self-flagellation and putting these on here is just to show that even if you can't draw worth a lick, you can still communicate the very basic information. If I had to make a case for these chicken scratches, I would say the one nice thing about them is that they give so little information, that it really is just a bare bones sketch of the absolute basics of the blocking out of the frame. And in a way that's kind of nice, because it doesn't give any extraneous information. It just lets the cinematographer and the designers, and lets me work with them to fill in the blanks. And that's my justification for my crappy drawing. Look at that. Look at that hand. How is that a hand? It's like 12 fingers, 3 of which are coming out of her wrist. Hi, this is Ryan Johnson, and these are some very early costume sketches for the characters in Brick. These were done by my friend Jen Greek, who's a very talented woman. And I had some really definite ideas about most of the characters in terms of how they should look, in terms of how their costumes should feel. For some of the more distinct ones, like Dode and like this costume of Laura's, we stuck really closely to the game plan in the final version. But for others, like with Emily, we ended up doing a skirt instead of jeans and a white sweater instead of a green one, to kind of make her softer and make her appear a little more flowing and angelic. With the pin, we kind of took a bit more of a departure, made it a little less cowboyish, a little less badass, and a little more gothy, I guess. Less Clint Eastwood and more Barnabas Collins. Noticeably missing from these sketches is Brendan, mostly because we didn't know exactly what his jacket was going to be. That was the one thing that took a bit of hunting around. Eventually, our costume designer, Michelle Posh, ended up finding the jacket just in the rental house at Universal Studios costume department, actually. But a lot of the other costumes were found in thrift stores. Kara's kind of poofy princess skirt we found at a thrift store in Santa Monica, and a lot of other various things. We didn't have much money for the movie, so Michelle Posh actually did something really cool where she wrote to a lot of small designers around the States, and I think even internationally too, and basically asked them for pieces in exchange for, pictures of the cast in the clothes or a mention in the credits. And so in that way we were able to get a lot of the very distinct key pieces from the film, like that colorful scarf that Laura wears in the movie was gotten through that.
Hi, I'm Nathan Johnson. I am the composer for the music in Brick, and I'm also Ryan's cousin. Ryan and I grew up making movies and music together. Every summer vacation was spent working on some sort of project, and so I was thrilled when Brick finally went from script to screen. Only problem was I was getting ready to move to England, so the first thing we had to figure out was how we were going to communicate. This is a picture of Ryan's desktop taken from his bedroom in Los Angeles, and in the left is a picture of me in my apartment in Bournemouth on the south coast of England. This is how we kept in touch during the entire composing and recording process for the Brick score, and as far as I know, this was the first feature-length film where the music was composed entirely using just a laptop, a microphone, and iChat video conferencing to communicate between composer and director. To prepare for Ryan's version of high school, I began by watching a few films that had nothing to do with high school. Ryan has a really strong musical sense, and he knows exactly what he wants. He was asking me to watch movies like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and The Third Man, to give sort of an insight to what he was looking for. As you know, Brick is not your classic high school movie, and we really wanted to stay away from any bubblegum pop in the soundtrack. I think Brick is the sort of world where the kids grew up listening to Tom Waits. Ryan was asking for a wheezy, rusty, broken down, out of tune type of score. So I began to get the idea that our sound was going to be something much more along the lines of a junkyard orchestra. Before Brick, I had never composed a film score. I come from the world of songwriting and concept albums, so I gathered together some of the key players of the cinematic underground, and we began making these huge charts. After I got my head around all the different characters and where they entered the story, we ripped up all these sticky notes, grouped them together by character, and then began attacking about 40 different musical cues. Ryan and I decided that each character should have a unique musical voice to accompany them throughout the film, and I actually held on to some of Ryan's original notes. This is what he wrote about Brendan. His theme is tricky because in a way Brendan is a cipher. He has a very single-minded goal, and he adapts his personality like a chameleon to each situation in order to best manipulate whoever he's with at the time. His brain is precise and clean. Think of his room. That's the inside of his head. No flourishes. Brendan is in almost every shot of the entire film, and I didn't want just one theme to be playing throughout that much of the movie. So rather than writing a melody for him, we gave him a voice. And for Brendan, we created what we lovingly began referring to as the winophone, which is basically your classic dinner table trick of taking 8 wine glasses or so and filling them up with different levels of water and then pitching the different glasses to the notes of a scale. This is what you hear for Brendan interacting with all the different characters, themes, and voices throughout the film. Here's a picture of Seth Kent playing the drunken orchestra. So you got the winophone there up front, and then all these wine bottles that we would blow across the rim of to create that deep, haunting sound that you hear throughout the score. Here's the lovely Emily DeRaven, who plays Emily, and this is what Ryan says about her character. Delicate and haunting with some underlying strength, we have to want to protect her. She has to be vulnerable. She has a strength and independence that is eventually her undoing. That's the haunting sadness of Emily. Breaking away from Brendan is actually a healthy thing for her to do, but she breaks away in the wrong direction. And I wanted to capture that haunting voice for Emily, so I dug out this hippie Woodstock chimey instrument called a metallophone. It's basically wind chimes laid out flat, and instead of using a mallet, we flipped around the mallet and just jiggled the stick inside the different chimes. This is Seth Kent and Chris Mears playing the chimes. We also used a bow on a lot of things that were never meant to be played with a bow, and ended up getting some really interesting sounds. Here is the pin. Ryan said, my whole thing from the start with the pin is his very intentional theatricality. He's designed every element of his world and himself, from his clothes to the lack of any chairs in his den, so there's nowhere for anyone but him to sit. He's constructed a costume and character to cover up his insecurities. We build him up to be this big, scary, badass dude. Then we give him a big, dramatic introduction. Then we undercut that frightening image of him with every new detail we reveal. I decided to give the pin these old, iconic Western trumpets. This is Reese, who recorded most of the trumpets in my bedroom. We also gave the pin this tack piano, which was an old rusty piano that I had in my apartment. We tied it up with strings connected to screws and nails, and they would just kind of bounce around on the strings when we would play the notes, just dangling and resonating, creating this really interesting tension. One of the things that Ryan said to me over and over again was, surprise me. I don't want this to be music that fades into the background. Show me something interesting. I included a lot of detuned elements which would enhance certain moments. Brendan going unconscious or being strangled, and we hear, what he would be hearing of the other characters' voices in his head. And I kept a lot of clicks and buzzes, all these organic sounds from the altered instruments. Here's Laura, the queen bee. Ryan says she's royalty. She thinks she's miles above everyone around her. And I think the first step is to mold her theme more exactly to the way Nora is playing her. Ryan had some temp music that was more intricate and jazzy, and it wasn't really working with the way Nora was actually playing Laura. Ryan says here, she's more of a stately, untouchable queen bee. We need to help the notion that she's Brendan's equal, that she has this mysterious undercurrent to her that we're not privy to. So we took away some of the intricate elements and moved towards a smokier feel with the Rhodes piano. Kind of gave it this, this smoky, mysterious air. The note that I got for Tugger in its entirety was the lowest keys on a piano. So Ryan gave us sort of a simple one for Tug, and we immediately decided not to follow it. Instead, we put it on the double bass. This photo captures Tugger's double bass being played by the rosy-cheeked Chris Pedley. I also wanted to connect the Pin's piano buzz with his right-hand man, so I combined the double bass with an acoustic guitar by grabbing a ballpoint pen that was just lying around my room and hooking it over the strings, letting it buzz around, sliding it up and down, creating this sort of, this buzz that added again to that tension. The last character that we'll talk about here is the brain. The brain scenes are all expository, says Ryan, so what makes them intriguing is that the mystery is being opened up a little bit more in each one. The brain's brain moves fast. If it were a guitar, it would be plucked by Django Reinhardt. If it were a piano, it would be played by Glenn Gould. There's something bird-like about him. The main consideration should be to keep those scenes intriguing and mysterious, keep them interesting and moving. All of the brain scenes happen with Brendan, and I decided to make his instrument a percussive one in order to interact with Brendan's winophone. I didn't want any real drums in the score, so we hunted around our kitchen. Here we have the stack of Pilsner cans being lovingly played with a chopstick. I suspect in preparation for many films you'd take your recording budget and head to the studio or the music store, but we took ours to the grocery store, ended up coming away with a brand new kitchen set. This is Chris, who did almost all the percussion in the movie. He played radiators and filing cabinets and just about anything he could get his hands on. This is him playing overturned pots with chopsticks for the brain. And I think he's wearing a skeleton glove. I think we were on our way to like a Halloween party in Bournemouth. Bournemouth is actually one of the premier retirement destinations in England. So one of the benefits for recording the score there was that our lovely, mild-mannered neighbors were also nearly deaf, which enabled us to make a pretty loud racket with no interruption. During the time the ideas for each character were coming together, I had the really great pleasure of working with China Kent to help flesh out the themes. China and Seth are married. I introduced them, they got married, and then within like a month they flew to Heathrow and with myriad instruments in tow set up camp in my bedroom, which was kind of awkward. But great, because I don't read music, but China's a classically trained pianist, so she was key in expanding a lot of my ideas and transferring them onto piano and Rhodes. And we put everything together, and then after we recorded the cues, we would email the files to Ryan, and then we'd get on iChat and ask him what he thought, and Ryan would get on, and he'd give us more direction or redirect where we were heading, and then we would kind of take his thoughts and hone it down, and finally, after going back and forth, we got it all together, and I left England. I flew to New York for the mixing process, which was actually the first time since the beginning of the film that Ryan and I were in the same room together. Soon after that, I found that Brick had been accepted into Sundance, and so we all flew out there to Utah, and it was incredible. The night of the premiere, I remember sitting with Ryan and before the lights went down, we turned our heads and saw our entire family sitting there, just like all the times we'd made movies together growing up, crowding the aunts and uncles into a room. But we turned our heads a bit further, and there are a few more people in the room. And so thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the soundtrack part of the film.
So you trust me now?
Less than when I didn't trust you before. If you can tell me your angle in all this, maybe I can.
Come here. I'm on the inn, top level of the tower, and I know everyone. But I don't know all that goes on. Like, I knew Emily when she was trying to get with me and Brad. I liked her. She's a smart girl. But she wasn't us, and it didn't work. And when she left, she took some souvenirs with her. Dirty habits that she couldn't control, and she had a connection to the pen to keep them going. Are you with me?
So far.
A few months go by, and the pen's raging over a situation with a certain jock that Im's partial to. And it's all coming down on Im's head.
So you think that M scraped the junk off the pin?
I don't know. All I know is that whether she scraped or copped or ran the tab around the world into her bag, it must have been pretty grand. I've never seen the pen so hot.
This all helps, but it's not what I asked. What's your angle in all this?
I don't know. You know, I'm usually pretty sharp, but maybe I see what you're trying to do for Emily. Trying to help her. And I don't know anybody who would do that for me.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Brendan. You shouldn't be here.
Cara told me you knew where M was at.
Uh-huh. And why are you looking for Em?
She asked for my help.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, man. I ain't got enough on my plate without dealing with some jilted eggs.
It's not about that.
Or whatever it's about, act smarter than you look and drop it.
Where's she at?
She's with me. Right now, it's the best place for her. The low-lifers. Dang.
You're on the bright side of dim dirt. And if I thought you had this half handled, I'd be eating lunch right now. Where's she at?
You better get while it's good. Heal it now, dig.
Where's M?
She's with me. She was tight when she called you, man. Keeps you a freak. She told me to shake you if you came by. Said you'd only make things worse.
Look, you tell Em whether she wants my help or not. I want to hear it from her.
So now, deal with whatever this ain't about.
Today, she knows where I eat lunch.
We shot Brick in San Clemente, California, which is my hometown. It's the town I went to high school in. And we actually shot it at San Clemente High, which is my high school. And when I was actually in high school, I spent most of my time hanging out with my friends, making movies, making short videos. And this is one of them. And it stars Brendan Colbert, Colin Buckley, Daryl Fry, and June Han. And it's called Ninja Ko, the Origami Master, a little piece of high school history.
Our hero, the infallible Ninja Ko. No evil can destroy him. No hunger can overcome him. No woman can seduce him.
Sorry, babe. I'll call you sometime. For he is
The Origami Master. Somewhere in the tropical rainforest of northern Tennessee.
hum-de hum hum hum.
Kitus tráiler.
Look, it's on me,
Visita
the
mi
Origami
canal.
Master.
Let's kill him like the pig llama he is.
There he is. Let's get the fool.
Oh dear, I am unarmed. But wait. Aha!
Oh, I'm slain.
Ah, I am victorious.
That's what you think.
Guard, I demand that you release me from these chains.
I cannot release you. It says here in my contract that I will be fired if I do.
Let me see this contract.
Very well. Here you go.
Aha!
Wait a minute. I need that contract to collect my paycheck.
Yes, and you shall have it. Here you go.
Ah, I just washed this shirt.
Ha! The sweet taste of freedom! I am free at last!
That's what you think.
Now you shall die like the filthy Albanian llama lover that you are, Ninja Ko. Ha ha ha!
Wait, I would like a last request.
I guess so. What do you want?
A cigarette.
Very well. Here you go.
Hold on a minute. I like to smoke in private.
Hey, what are you doing there?
Nothing. Ha-ha! Thank you very much.
Hey, wait a minute.
Ha 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 ha!